p.m. Okay, the meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. Venice, will you do a roll call, please?
I sure will. Alon Glickstein,
Here.
Seema Chandra,
Here.
JL Diaz,
Present.
Janice Smets,
Here.
Chair Nye.
Here. Let's do a flag salute.
Oh, right. Let
Does
me,
anybody, oh, Venice, can you do that for us?
I sure can.
Thank you.
There's the flag.
Okay, put your hand over your heart and we'll begin. I pledge allegiance
to the
to the flag of the
the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll switch it over to the agenda.
Okay, so I'd like to see if there's a motion to adopt the agenda. I do have one change I'd like to make. I'd like to move 10E up after 10C because Supervisor Parks is going to be speaking on both those items, and rather having her interrupted, I'd like to move those together. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with that one change?
Just before we do, is there anything else we want to move up because Alon might be leaving before the end? If anything he needs to vote on too?
We can't move it up that far. I think we're okay. Alon, is there anything you want to say?
I mean, what are we voting on here?
Everything, the advisory matters
Under 10.
under 10.
Well, I don't know. Let's see how fast we can get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
All right, I move the agenda to be accepted.
Do we
JL,
have a second?
I'll second it.
okay, and Alon Glickstein,
Aye.
Seema Chandra,
Aye.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Thank you.
For item number 4, adoption of the minutes from September 30th. Any changes to the minutes or any comments before we have a motion to adopt the minutes?
I submitted a couple of changes to Denise. I don't know if she got them in there.
I did not get an email from you. Did you just send it?
No, I sent it last week.
Last week.
As soon as you sent out the minutes.
What's
An email. Why don't you let me know what they are and then I'll,
I'm trying to remember myself. Okay, one was that I did make a motion to, not make a motion, but I made a recommendation to perform a waiver for the tree standard. And then there was another one that I asked to change in there, and I can't remember what it was. I have to look it up.
well, let me see.
I did send it to you.
So you requested pictures and then you requested the letter. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so we can make, you'll have to make the motion here. So you said that they'll ask for the waiver of the sidewalk repair standards. Ask for a waiver of the sidewalk repair from the supervisor. Where is that exactly on the, let me look at it.
Yeah, I was trying to find the place you would put it in there. And what was the second one, Venice? I can't remember.
It said you received communication from Jay Capitz regarding proposal to remove trees to be discussed.
That was not in there.
Okay, I'll add that. I'll add that under written comments.
That's good.
Okay,
a
Do I
motion
have a
for the,
motion?
and then you wanted, and the waiver must have been under,
When we were discussing it.
yeah. So Janice asked,
And the only reason why I want that in there is because I had written a letter to the board of supervisors, and that was included in there. So I just trying to be consistent.
okay. It'll say Janice Smith asked if Public Works received any other bids for the work and asked for a waiver of the sidewalk repair standards. It'll be under the sidewalk repairs, item 10A. So those two changes.
Do I have a
I think I
motion
asked
to
for a
adopt the
waiver.
minutes with those changes?
I make the motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Alon Glickstein.
Aye.
Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Dale Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
I just need to disable this. Hold on. Disable the.
All right,
waiting.
we're going to be moving on to the public safety reports. We have Officer Brian Ayers from the CHP. Welcome, thank you. You have to unmute yourself.
You should be here.
How's that?
There you
How's
go.
that?
Perfect, thank
Perfect.
you.
All right. Thank you for having me. I apologize for being in the dark. I'm actually in downtown Ventura right now with my family, so we're kind of all over the place. Lieutenant Key would love to be here, but he had some other training and things going on with his family also. So good and smooth and out and lately for us. We've had a couple things that we have taken upon ourselves to try to kind of head off before things happen. And I think we talked about it last time. One was all the schools. We've been going out to all the schools, and on, let's see here, yesterday I was over at Oak Hills. I talked to the principal over there, Mr. Warren. We've had some issues because they changed their driving pattern as far as how you can enter and exit the school property. You cannot make a left turn anymore coming off of Canaan up the roadway there. They're trying to make it a one-way loop, which is, I think, going to be very beneficial for parents and, you know, dropping off and picking up. And I was out there, and the parents they seem to be receptive to all that. We did get a request from one of the HOs. I'm trying to think of the name. I think it's Regency Hills. It's up Deer Hill. They wanted us to come out there and do some radar with the radar trailer. So you may have seen the radar trailer out there. That's been out there for approximately a week now, right at Deer Hill and Dearborn. And we've also done some enforcement on the stop signs there. There's 2 stop signs that are right across from the park. There's the condos on one side, the neighborhood on the other, the park right there. People are walking to the park, they're walking their dogs, riding their bikes, are going to and from both Medea Creek Middle School, the high school right there. So we've tried to kind of saturate that area. We've made quite a few contacts at those stop signs. They've been probably 50-50 residents and workers coming into the neighborhood to do different.
Uh-oh.
We lost.
People that those stop. You there?
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can hear you. You just had a
Okay.
little break.
All right. So we've been reminding people that those stop signs are obviously isn't for safety pedestrians that go through that area. Other than that, we have not had a whole lot of issues throughout Oak Park. There was one issue that we have been kind of continually monitoring at a house that seems to get a lot of traffic throughout the evening into the middle of the night hours, like 2, 3 in the morning. When we go out there, we have to look for certain things before we contact someone coming out of that house. Obviously, we have to have probable cause to stop a vehicle or even reasonable suspicion to investigation either on the vehicle. And when we've gone out there, we've been out there probably 6 to 8 times, varying times of the night. We have not observed any violations that would warrant a stop on a vehicle. So obviously people can come and go from locations as they please, especially a residence. But we're going to continue to monitor that and see how that progresses, what type of contacts we can make out of that. So other than that, I think that's pretty much, we haven't had any major crashes out that way, which has been great. So if you guys have some things, I'll absolutely field those questions for you.
Any questions for Officer Ayers?
I noticed last night there was a huge construction going on at Canaan and Lindero.
Okay.
Were you guys, you probably were aware of that, and is that gonna go on again, or was it just a last night?
I'm not familiar with
I think
what they were
Dan
doing.
Drugan's going to be talking about the interconnect project, and that'll be under that.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, it was major road blockage yesterday.
Right. Yeah, I can do an update too, because I had an update from Triumpho, but
Okay,
Dan will be speaking to that.
So just so I can kind of get just so I can kind of be on the same page as you guys, I know we're having the water.
We can't understand. Just saying.
Was from what the construction was there.
So there's the interconnect project is on Lindero and Canaan. It's they're beginning the nighttime work. It's just started, and it's going to continue all the way through February, where the project gets bigger. Dan's going to speak to all of this, but Officer Ayers, if you want us to send you details on that, we can do that.
That'd be
On the
absolutely great. Yeah,
timeline.
that way I can
Okay.
keep up on it for you guys. I will
Okay.
also, if I get updated on that, I'll post it on our social media to help you guys know when closures are going to be affecting you at different times of the day or night.
Okay, so Denise, is it okay if I give you the information and then you forward it to Officer
Absolutely.
Ayers? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Officer Ayers? He can get back to his family. Thank you, Officer Ayers.
I'm here first, so you guys are good. You guys are good.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've got.
All right. Have a
Senior-
good rest of your night.
Thank you. We've
Thank you.
got Senior Deputy
Thank you.
Bo from the Sheriff's Office.
Good evening.
There he is.
First off, kind of, I think on a good note, this past month, we've only had one attempt of a catalytic converter theft. Unfortunately for the victim, it was the same house that had a catalytic converter stolen prior. So not sure why they came back or what have you. So they're working on that. We've had 2 residential burglaries in the area, one on Buttonwood, one on Allison. Our special enforcement unit is working with, and I think they have possibly identified that it's a South American crew that's coming in. And this is so, I guess to put this at ease, it's not mutually exclusive here to Oak Park. It's statewide, nationwide. And from what I understand, it's almost reaching around the world that these crews are robbing houses and stuff like that. We are working with several agencies throughout the state, the country, and the FBI on this. The other thing we also had recently was there was a commercial burglary in one of the restaurants in Oak Park Plaza. Our detectives believe they've identified a crew that's coming out of LA and doing this. And so they're still in the process of investigating it, and they're working with, I believe I was talking to the detective, she said probably 15 other agencies that may be associated with all of these. So they're in the process of investigating and identifying and hopefully making arrests shortly. And going off on Officer Ayers, I had a meeting with the Safety and Security Task Force this week, and they had also brought up about the school, the traffic and stuff like that. So I have been up there trying to get up there during the times that they're letting out, and also letting my partners know to kind of just extra patrol the area, to keep an eye on traffic, and also keep an eye on the kids at the bus stops, because they're, again, being a little rambunctious. I know they're just now back together with each other, so they're a little overzealous, so to speak, while they're waiting for the bus. So we're just trying to keep that, so make sure everybody's safe and gets home. But other than that, I think pretty much all. I just want to remind everybody also, November is Click It or Ticket Month. So if that is something you want to put out, remind people. We're pretty good in the state of California. I think I was looking at the stats, and I think it's like 97% of the drivers in California actually use their seatbelts, which is, I think, like 10% over the nationwide average. So, which is good. But this coming month of November, it is ticket month, so be careful. Fair warning, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions for Senior Deputy Vo? CHP? I mean, sure. All right, well, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so those burglaries that you mentioned, it's also back into an open space?
One was, I know the one on Buttonwood was, I'm not familiar with the one on Allison.
Okay, thank you.
But the entry points has seemed to be through the backyard, a back door.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Senior Deputy Vo. Appreciate your time.
And if you wouldn't mind, I have a late report, if I can be excused.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you.
We're on to item 6, which is Supervisor Parks.
Hello. I just have a couple quick comments. I know there's some other items on the agenda that I'll be speaking more to regarding the sidewalks and redistricting. The two things I wanted to mention to you, though, was that I had been asked to alert our staff regarding the potential for housing, mixed-use housing in Agoura Hills. And there were some concerns expressed that evacuation routes might be blocked because of too much traffic as a result of the multifamily housing development that's being proposed along Canaan Road. And so I just wanted to let you know that we did make sure that our resource management agency that gets the notice of preparations of the environmental documents did receive it. I know our public works agency responded with no comments. I also alerted our Office of Emergency Services and also our fire marshal, so that they can, if they have concerns about evacuation routes, they can take a look at that. But the Resource Management Agency anticipates that all the county agencies will carefully review the environmental report when it is circulated. Now it's just in the notice of preparation phase. The other thing I wanted to just let you know, I probably do already, Oak Park is, I think, second now in the county for the most number of people who are vaccinated. You're over 94%, if I recall correctly. And right now, people who would like to can get boosters. And so those guidelines now are pretty much, you can mix and match. They haven't been as restrictive as they were before. People who can get boosters now are people 65 and older, or anyone who's gotten the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And you can sign up either going through our county website, which is vcrecovers.org. You can also go to myturn.ca.gov. And both of those have phone numbers you can call also to get a booster shot if you want. And unless there's any questions, as I said, I'll hold the rest of my comments when we get to those agenda items.
Any other questions for Supervisor Parks other than what's on the agenda? All right, we're going to move on to, thank you, Supervisor Parks. We're going to move on to item 7, public comments. And I think we have a submitted comment from Jay Caput.
Well, his comment is actually on item 10E, specific to item 10E. So I can
So we're
read
going
that.
to wait for both of those, for Carolyn's and Jay's to 10E.
Well, Carolyn's didn't specifically have an agenda item attached to it, so I can mention it now under public comments, or we can. But Jay's was specific to 10.
Jay's was under 10E. Okay. Okay. Are there any other public comments from people on the line that are for items that are not on the agenda, other than the ones that were submitted?
No. And I don't see any hands raised in the. So.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8 for council comments. Alon,
I have no comments.
Seema,
It was a quiet month, so I do not have any comments.
JL,
Yeah, couple of comments. So one of the thing I like to update you on is the Fire Council of Oak Park establishment. Thank you very much, Alon, for connecting me with Jay. It looks like he's able to fund the establishment of the 501c, but I have yet to talk to him about it. But it looks good and it's positive. So the Fire Council just needs to be incorporated as a 501c3, and we just need funding from that, and hopefully, this pushes through. The target for this is to get this up and running by the end of December. And then after that, we can move on to other areas in the development of the Fire Council and the activities associated with it. And one thing about the Fire Council that I learned is that we need to have an assessment of Oak Park as far as fire safety and risk assessment is concerned. And one of the things that what has been highlighted is that the exit strategy just in case there's fire. So this high volume or the establishment of this high density building along Canaan is really detrimental, I believe, and I hope the fire marshal or whoever is looking into the fire situation, especially for us here in Oak Park, we are under a very high risk for fire, and everybody knows that. They should take into consideration this situation that we have here, specifically for Oak Park. And lastly, and we'll discuss this in 10E, I'd just like to let you know that the Oak Park Parks and Recreation Committee voted 5-2 in taking down the tree in Canaan and Conifer. So we'd like to make sure that we have a healthy discussion on that, because there's a lot of that tree is healthy, and I voted no to that, but I was outvoted 5-2. That's all.
thank you, JL. Janice,
Yes, I received an email from one of our residents in regarding an uplifting sidewalk at 1002 Doubletree. I forwarded it to Venice, and Venice forwarded it to Public Works. I haven't received any response to that yet, unless you have, Venice, and I didn't see it.
Oops. Wait, hold on. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to stop the Zoom. No, I did forward it to Public Works. And I think they were, let me look at what that response was. From Mr. Alvarez. Let's see. Give me a second.
so Janice, are you using the app to submit it, or are you just sending it to Venice? Because the county app is a really great place to submit things that need to be worked on, and they have different areas that you can submit it, like under transportation, traffic, things like
Yeah.
that.
Well, there was a question, Jane, whether this was within the CSA 4 area.
Mhm.
So I needed to call on that by Public Works.
Right. So now, yeah, I'm looking at, so yeah, so basically at this point, it is not an area maintained by the CSA 4 landscape area. It's been forwarded to Roads and Transportation to see if they can do anything or look at it. And I have not received a response from Roads and Transportation yet.
Okay, and a question to Supervisor Parks. When we have something like this, are we allowed to find out where, what homeowner is responsible for that area and write a letter from the MAC asking for an inquiry? I do not know how that works.
Yeah, so like Jane was saying, we have this app so people can put their complaints about something that needs fixing, and the Public Works Agency will take care of it. And so in this situation, a complaint can be sent to them and then they take care of it. And how do they take care of it? If it's the private property owner responsible, they write them a letter, they let them know how much it will cost, they offer them, they can do it themselves, or the Public Works Agency will do it for them. So that's all taken care of. The MAC doesn't need to get into the weeds on that.
I can show you if you'd like. Let me share my screen.
Yeah,
This is the publicworks.org website. Right here is the report of concern.
Okay.
You click that, and they are actually very responsive.
Very responsive. I've had
And
such
that's right.
great.
Jane, you've
response.
used it, right?
Many times. Yeah, I'm really thrilled with how responsive everybody is. Although Chuck's always responsive too, but it's
Yes.
great to use the app because then it's logged as an issue and they respond right away.
And then you get a response to your email, like
Correct.
you get that response. So you basically
Yeah.
cut out the middleman.
Correct.
Middle-
And
middleman.
I advise people, like if somebody contacts me and they say like, one of the street signs is faded, I tell them I'll submit it for them or I'll show them how to do it. And usually they want to learn how to do it so that if they have any concerns, they can self-help. So it's a great tool.
I'm going to put that in the chat of the website.
That's great.
There you
Now,
go.
does the Department of Transportation have a website for the same reason, since this is out of Public Works?
It's
Public Works.
part of them. It's one of the selections. You can.
Oh, it is
pick.
one of the
It's
selections.
one of the selections. Yeah.
Okay.
And like one day there was a sofa dumped and I submitted that under I don't remember whether it was under traffic, but there you have a selection and it gives you descriptions of what you should put under each category. Really well done. Anything else, Janice?
No, that's it.
Okay, so I do have a couple things. So I attended the Triumpho October 25th meeting, and I just want to mention that Governor Newsom extended the drought emergency to the entire state. So on July 8th, the governor called on Californians to restrict their water use by 15% as compared to 2020 levels. And so Las Virgenes, which is not us, but Las Virgenes responded by escalating its response from a stage 1 to stage 2 warning. Triumpho Water and Sanitation District is still in stage 1. So Oak Park's still in stage 1, and we're doing a wait and see approach. Metropolitan Water will be meeting on December 9th to discuss the drought, and we're waiting to see what comes out of that meeting. I've got two other Triumpho issues that I want to bring up. The Kilbourne water tank, and we can all remember that's also where the Verizon cell tower had fire damage. And because there was a lot of construction and fixing going on from the fire damage fix, there was over excavation and heavy equipment damage to the asphalt. So the access road needs to be repaired around the water tank and the cell tower. And because Verizon and Triumpho share that area, they're going to be splitting the cost. It's going to be $156K to repair that asphalt. But it's going to be done in the month of October. And then Dan's going to talk about the interconnect project, so I'm not going to bring that up. So I also attended the Oak Park Unified School District meeting on October 19th. And I wanted to mention and recognize that Oak Park High School has 17 National Merit semifinalists, which I think may be a record. It's a huge number for our small school. Also, there was recognition of Oak Park High School as a 2021 National Blue Ribbon School. And then Dr. Davis, who's our superintendent, acknowledged the hard work of all the teachers and the staff and the parents during this pandemic. And he said they've implemented so many safety protocols, only 2 out of 1,400 students have tested positive. But they are so concerned. Supervisor Davis mentioned that they're concerned and watching the declining enrollment. In California, it's 60% decline. And that's it for me on my comments, council comments. I'd like to move on to information items. Item number 10A, which is Dan Drugan. Are you in a place where you can talk? You have to
Yeah, let's see.
unmute
Can
yourself.
folks hear me?
Yes.
Can folks hear me right now? Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah, I thought it would be good to call in just because if I have an
Okay.
unstable connection at all. So hopefully this works.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
Let's see. And I have the ability to share my screen?
One second. Oh,
Oh, sure.
Yes, we
let me
can
just
see
double
it.
check that you have yeah, you're
We
good.
can see it.
Okay,
So
great.
Dan, did you
I'm very-
hear, I'm
yeah.
sorry, Dan, did you hear that CHP Officer Ryan Ayers was interested in getting an update? So I'll connect the two of you up, or Venice will connect the two of you via emails. He just
Sure.
wanted to get an update on the interconnect project.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. So I really appreciate this opportunity to come present to the Oak Park MAC. I apologize if there's a little bit of a delay between my conversation and the slides here, but we are here to talk about the Las Virgenes-Callejas interconnection project. And this is a really important project. I came to Callejas just a few years ago, and Callejas did not have interconnections with another member agency of Metropolitan, right? So we were on an island. You know, we didn't have an interconnection with our neighbor in Las Virgenes. We didn't have an interconnection to the west. And now we're working on both right now, and that's really exciting. We're working on an interconnection with the city of Ventura to the west end of our service area, and now we're working on an interconnection in the east end of our service area with Las Virgenes Municipal Water District. A little bit about Callejas. Many of you already know we are a wholesale water provider. We provide water to the water agencies that serve you directly, including Triumpho Water and Sanitation District. This picture right here, you can see that's Lake Bard at the top, and we're going to connect that. That's going to be connected with Las Virgenes through this project. Right there, you can see a graphic there at our treatment plant facility, and that graphic represents that connection, right? And that's kind of a really great thing. It's a great story that's going to come out of this project when we're able to finally bridge the connection and have both agencies that can have that operational flexibility to move water around. A little bit more about the project footprint. You can see that right now we're effectively bridging both counties, Ventura County and LA County. Las Virgenes, their infrastructure is noted in the dark green line, and their portion of the project is this dotted green portion of pipeline, about 30-inch diameter pipeline that they're constructing along Lindero Canyon Road, just above Thousand Oaks Boulevard. And then to the north of that, north of the LA County line in Ventura County, the Callejas portion of the interconnection is noted in the dotted red lines right here. So it's connecting our existing infrastructure, which is the solid blue right here that you can see, our West Lake Reservoir, and then we're effectively making that connection with Las Virgenes. Another portion of this project is the construction of a pump station, so we can pump the water up from Las Virgenes into Callejas, and then also a pressure regulating station so that when water deliveries need to be made to Las Virgenes, it can break some head as it travels down through gravity to Las Virgenes' system. So I think the majority of the conversation that we're probably going to be talking about tonight is what is going on at the intersection of Canaan and Lindero. I think a lot of folks last night reported some noise, and I would like to speak a little bit about that in some subsequent slides here. So I just mentioned all this information. I did give Venice a copy of this flyer, so she has it. We can distribute that out to any residents that would like to see more about it. And we will move forward with some more involved notification to the residents early in the year next year. So what exactly is happening right now? I'm going to go through some of the timeline here. Leading up to current time, we did award the contract for the project to our contractor. It's a little over $21 million, just our portion of the project. And right now, what's currently happening is pre-construction, right? So our contractor is going out along the footprint of the construction, and we're digging up holes. We're making sure that all the utilities are where we thought they would be prior to actually going out next year when we do full construction. So what's happening right now at Canaan and Lindero is we're effectively digging a big hole to see how far down we need to excavate to. We're seeing hopefully there are no surprises with any other utilities that might be in the area, so that we understand that our designs are correct. That's basically what we're doing right now. In the future, full construction won't really ramp up until February of next year. And so in February, we do anticipate that we might have a shutdown scheduled here that would impact some water service to Triumpho. That would be very temporary, so that we can make the tie-in to our feeder location up there. But overall, construction will occur from that February-March timeframe through July of 2023. And that's the effective end date of construction. So right now, at the intersection of Canaan and Lindero, we have a very significant traffic control set up in this area from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. And we're basically excavating right over here in this location, like I mentioned before, to make sure that we understand that we know where the utilities are, where we thought they would be, and how far down we might need to connect when we actually bring that pipeline up into this area. This is a very critical pothole location for us. And our contractor right now is having some I would say, some difficulties with the soils in this area. And so we're working as quickly as we can to make sure that we can get this nighttime work done. I mean, we know that it's a disturbance to the residents. We know that they can hear the noise. They heard it last night. Our contractor will go again out tonight and tomorrow night to move forward with this work. Now, I want to just assure you all that our contractor does have to abide by some noise mitigation measures. And if we continue to hear complaints and our contractor isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing with mitigating noise, then we will have to reevaluate and potentially make that some daytime work, right? Now, the issue with that is this is a very highly trafficked intersection. So if we would have to make this daytime work, that could be even more disruptive, I would say, to this area, to residents who are driving through, dropping off kids to school, going on their normal commutes. So we're doing what we can to buffer the impact of this pre-construction activity to the public right now. And that's the reason why we're doing this at night. Again, like I said, we're trying to wrap up this work as quickly as we can. We know that it is an inconvenience to the residents. Right now, we expect the nighttime work will only last into early November. And really, we're really hoping for the first week of November, and that's it. Like I mentioned before, we do understand that this is an impact and a disturbance with noise. I have some pictures here of our pre-construction activities. This is over by the pump station pressure regulating site right above Yerba Buena Elementary School. Our contractor is staging some equipment. This is an image right here of some stormwater prevention measures that our contractor is obligated to put in. And then this is an example of a pothole. You can see in this image, when we dig down, we like to understand where the utilities are. We have them in our design to make sure that they are where we thought they were. And I'm happy to say that with all these potholes so far, everything is looking really good. I think we're pretty happy with the pre-construction activities at this point. Everything is looking pretty good from our end in terms of where this stuff should be located. Here's an example of a typical pothole, how our contractor has to saw cut the asphalt. And then here's the steel plate that's temporarily covering it with some of that coal patch asphalt. And then these are some of the noise mitigation measures. So these right here are barriers that are supposed to dampen the construction noise as our contractor moves forward with work. We have these both deployed in daytime and nighttime. But nighttime, we have a lot of these, right? We have a lot of these around the contractor because we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to dampen that noise so it doesn't impact nearby residential properties. We do have readings and measurements that we take for the decibel levels. We do have to make sure that we're within an appropriate decibel level as we do have a permit from the city of Thousand Oaks to continue to work in this area. Here's another example of the nighttime work. This might look very similar to what's happening at Canaan and Lindero right now. And again, what we're trying to do is deploy more of these noise dampeners, hopefully tonight and tomorrow night. We did hear of some complaints last night with the noise that was coming in through the intersection. So that's what my update at this point. I would love to come back to the Oak Park MAC when we're completely done, and I will have more pictures, more updates on what we learned, and as well as what we're looking at for next year. We do anticipate actually that we might be delayed a little bit in our construction. It might not start in February and March because of supply chain issues. Our contractor may have some difficulty procuring the appropriate pipeline that we need. 30-inch diameter pipeline is pretty unique, and there might be some supply chain issues in terms of delay and backlog in procuring that. So with that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
That was great, Dan. Thank you so much. Any questions for Dan?
I didn't get the, how are you related to this project then? Are you the project manager?
Oh, I apologize. I'm actually the public information officer for Cayugas. And I'm the direct conduit to our project engineering manager on this. And we're working hard, to make sure that, the public is engaged and well informed on the project.
Thank you.
One question? Very good presentation. Thank you very much. Just a quick question on the supply chain problem. Was there any consideration of going overseas or foreign, or do we have to stay in the United States for the material?
Right. So I think it's really up to the contractor with how they can procure the appropriate pipeline that we need. I think we have rigid specs for that. That's in the contract. And I think that we're anticipating it. We haven't quite heard that there might be delays, but I think what we're seeing from our peers in terms of how this process is working out, that everyone is kind of being delayed a little bit with construction projects on just procuring the material that we need to move forward.
Yeah, that's the problem right now, is the material. So that's why I was asking about a lot of contractors are going actually overseas to get some of their material now.
Any other questions for Dan?
Right.
All right, thanks, Dan. We'll look forward to hearing from you again next year. Great update.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Okay, so we have 9B, which is a presentation by Friends of Oak Park Open Space. Debbie?
I'll get it later.
Okay.
Hello. I'm going to share my screen and show you my pictures.
Lynn, can you go on mute because we can hear you in the background? if
sorry.
You're not presenting. Thank you so much.
Let's see.
Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
All right. Denise, can you, am I able to share mine?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay. So
Let's,
share screen.
Dan is off.
Oh, here we go. Share.
There we go. There we go.
Okay. Play from start. Oh. Okay, great. My name is Debbie Sharpton. I've lived in Oak Park for 26 years, and 21 of those years were spent in natural resource management and protection in the Santa Monica Mountains and Los Angeles, Simi Hills area. I worked with National Park Service, state parks. I was executive director of Mountains Restoration Trust, which was a land trust in Calabasas. They're now known as Tree People. I left them in 2018 and I started thinking of what I was going to do and realized that I haven't spent enough time in my own backyard. So myself and some friends, Manju Venkat is a biologist up here, and others were very excited to form a Friends of Oak Park open space so that we can help Rancho Simi, Rexham Park take care of the natural lands that they own and supplement what they're doing through volunteerism and eventually grant writing and bringing our experience to a much local, to make a local impact. We are an activity committee of the Community Foundation for Oak Park, and that was done in August of this year. So we're real new, but we launched a program on 9/11. It was National Remembrance Day and Volunteer Day, and we had about 25 people out in Oak Canyon Community Park. We're focusing on the riparian area and recovering from the fire by removing non-native invasive species, which tend to move in after fires in disturbed areas. We want to be helping the regional matrix of protected lands and the resource agencies, because as you will see, Oak Park is right in the middle of a lot of different ownerships of protected lands. And so the blue is Rancho Simi. The green is the National Park Service. Yellow is Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, and the green is Casca, Conejo Open Space. So we're right there. Our lands are really critical to wildlife corridors and migrations of butterflies. And so it's exciting to see what we can help protect in our own community. This is a close-up of Oak Park showing the HOA open space lands that surround our master plan community. We have Medea Creek runs through. It's the heart of the veins of our community. This is a tributary that comes down. And these are all of the hillsides surrounding us. What is important, I think, is that people want to help, and we want to provide them with a conduit to be able to give back to their community and to help nature and help the environment, help wildlife. There's many groups out there that are looking for opportunities, and we want to provide those opportunities in our community. We've got the Disney Corporation is helping us. We've got events going every month now. We did one in October. Disney has a great community support program, and they are always sending people out our way, and we're connecting with the schools and the local, just local citizens. And I'll make this quick because I know you guys have a lot to do. Let's see. There we go. So why are we doing this? Well, we need to take care of our natural resources, and there's just not enough money to pay for resource management in this region. So it's very labor intensive work too, and it helps bring the community together in many ways. It's not easy work, but it can be very fun and rewarding. And this is just our upcoming events. November 13th, Oak Canyon Community Park we had this beautiful rain, and so the ground has softened up some. We've got a lot of horehound is an invasive species, and it's all along the trails and along Medea Creek. And then December 11th again, and I'm hoping to get some monarch butterfly and pollinator plants in the ground this winter, working in conjunction with the Ventura RCD and Rancho Simi, of course. So I use Eventbrite, and this is for the two upcoming events. I try and put it out on Nextdoor. Any methods that you can help me get the word out is greatly appreciated. The Acorn has been very supportive, and I want to share just the last. Here we go. So the board members are myself, Manju Venkat, Mark Abramson, Joel Goldies, Aviva Medved, and Rich Salvato. And we have a website, oakparkopenspace.org. We're just now getting a bank account established so that we can receive donations that are charitable contributions because of the community foundation. It's wonderful. Jay Capitz is a wonderful person, and Barbara and everyone there. And thank you very much for the time, and I hope that you will help us spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Great presentation. Appreciate your time. Any questions for Debbie? All right, we're going to move on to item 9C. Vanessa, I need your help. I can't remember who's talking about the Ventura County sidewalk repair.
Oh, that would
Supervisor Parks?
Supervisor Parks.
Great, thank you.
I wanted to thank Debbie Sharpton for her work on that. I think it's really nice that she's focusing locally. And I know that I've recently contributed to her organization there through the Community Foundation. So nice to have that available. And I know she's looking for donations.
Thank you.
So we're talking sidewalks now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And at your request, I went to the Board of Supervisors. I think you saw the board letter that I put together and requested that they support your request, which was to revise the sidewalk standards so we could preserve mature trees. And the board, before I could even finish describing it, made a motion and it was a 5-0 vote. So it was very positively received. And so I'm hoping now in the interim, while they put together some revised standards, we'll hold off on any removal of trees on Hawthorne and potentially Mayboyer also, Mayboyer Park. We'll have to see what they come up with. I know that there is a lot of resistance from the Public Works Agency in doing things differently. Just trying to focus, this is only in those cases when you're about to chop down a tree. If we can allow for an extra inch to be grinded, for example, and that saves the tree, we should be doing that. So we'll see what they come back with, and hopefully they won't take too long. In the meantime, regarding the trees on Hawthorne, you know, they did come up with a proposal to put in ramping for, I don't know, came out to, I think all together with all the work, was it close to $30,000 or something? And what they're looking, you know, I want to make sure they don't cut them down because that's what you guys desire and you don't want to have to spend the extra dollars out of your budget, but I don't want them cut down. So I offered to use my office budget to pay for the cost differential between what it would be to just fix the sidewalks versus what it will be to ramp and keep the trees. So I think they're going to go out and get a more accurate estimate. And I think that's really important. In relation to that also, I've asked that they get one for the Mayboyer Park tree that is slated for removal. And so they're going to do that, and that will remain to be seen. I know that the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District would be willing to hold off cutting down that tree if they can see it reduce substantially in the costs. So we'll get an estimate for them, and hopefully they'll look at in that estimate ways to reduce the cost so that we can make an effort to save that tree too. But that will be determined on what they come back with an estimate. In regards to the bump in the street, I just think, to me, that's probably one of the easiest ones that they should be able to live with and keep the tree, but they consider that to be the first thing they want to remove. So I've asked that they look and make sure that they can't just go and fix that bump, take care of the root that's making that bump, and keep the tree, because what I can see, it's not actually affecting the sidewalks. So we'll see where that goes. They're going to get an arborist out there again to take a look to see if they can't do it that way. So that's where that stands. I know one thing I do agree with the Public Works Agency is there is a need for better landscaping that reflects the drought situation that we are in. Currently, the landscaping there, the way the watering goes, it's very shallow watering that requires the roots to really kind of come up to the surface to get the water instead of deep watering down. And then also the idea that what should be planted there are plants that can handle the drought and trees that can handle the drought. And we need to do that not only here, but we discussed another location right at the last meeting, but I think the Public Works Agency is ready to become more aggressive in seeing that the landscaping is landscaping that doesn't take up a lot of water and allows for it to look really good without having constant watering. And I would like the MAC to also be quite involved in that too, because I think we all agree that's what has to happen. And there are, beautiful landscapes. I think a lot of us have that, drought tolerant landscapes at our homes, that are beautiful and flowering and also better for habitat and all. So that is something that I really would like to see the MAC concentrate more on. It will certainly be coincide with what the Public Works Agency wants to see out there also. And with that, I'd be glad to answer your questions.
I have a question, Supervisor. First of all, thank you so much for your excellent work going to the Board of Supervisors. I think that's really going to help this issue that we've been wrestling with for the last, at least last year on Hawthorne. So my question is though that you're asking them to give you get a new estimate for the ramping. So are we going to proceed with that before we get a final new policy from Public Works on what the supervisors have asked for, or are we going to just get the estimate and then wait still?
I think they will not be able to get the estimate for a while. They're going to really work this one. And just talking with the Public Works Director, I tried to ask him I did ask him to keep an open mind, but I feel like he's determined to keep the standards he has. So they're going to go out to different municipalities. I asked them to take the input of the MAC too in their review. If you find places and cities and other entities that have standards that consider the trees and all that you could pass that on to them. But I think at this time, because they do need to move forward, that, like I said, CSA will pay for the cost of the sidewalk as it was going to be with cutting the tree up. My budget will pay for the difference so that we can keep the trees.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Supervisor Parks before we move on to advisory matters? Again, thank you so much, Supervisor Parks. We really appreciate what you've done for the MAC and for our community. Thank you.
Jane, I have one public comment on this.
Okay.
So if the MAC is, once the MAC is finished.
I think you can go ahead.
Okay, Carolyn, do you want to unmute?
Yes, hi, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Linda Parks, for all your hard work. We deeply appreciate it. And I've been very involved in, what I've expect that we can get going. Is there a chance that we can negotiate with Public Works? You're saying that you are talking with them with the standards to, for example, I provided an engineer's report is to the MAC members, and I believe I sent it to Venice, that's stating that we can grind up to 2 inches, and there's all kinds of specs in that report that I don't know whether our Public Works Department has even looked at that kind of thing and considered it, which would help us tremendously, be cost effective. I'm just wondering if we can have a committee of people that will finalize or talk about these standards, or is it always going to come back to the MAC? It's going to be kind of cumbersome with a lot of different things we're going to talk about, grinding and replacing pads and the ramping, and also serpentining, meaning the curved sidewalk around the tree like they have on Agora Road in Westlake Village. So there's a lot of options that other cities have done. And I would like to know, how we can provide information, and I have some kind of direct communication with the Public Works people in charge, so that we get our voice heard in a more direct way. Is that going to be possible?
So yes, in the sense that there are different types of sidewalks. Some are called monolithic. Back in the days when I was on the Planning Commission, and meandering is the other one. And So that is another option, you know, can we move the sidewalk? And the other ones are, can you allow for thinner, essentially, right, sidewalks?
Right, right.
And when I was discussing it again with the Public Works Director, one of the comments was, well, you know, sometimes trucks have to drive on the sidewalk, you know, like to get
Oh.
to the backyard to do a pool or something. And I just said, you know, even in those situations, let's say it breaks the slab, you know, the slab is a few $100s, you know. And I also suggested that they could do maintenance on those particular slabs that are there to keep the trees, you know, so we can keep the trees, you know, that to me seemed like it's outside of the box thinking. They think we need this sidewalk when we put it in to last for 30 years or something, right? And the thought is, well, you know, it might only last 5 years, then you got to replace the slab. But, you know, to me, that's a lot less costly. But the way they look at it is that they need to do a mobilization of all sidewalks instead of once every few years. Now we'll have to be doing these mobilizations more often. I said, well, not the entire all sidewalks, just the ones that you've made a conscious effort to, you know, allow to be thinner, for example, so you don't remove the tree. So it's just some of it is just seeing if they can come up with a way to allow for the standards to change. That's what our board has asked. And I will, it remains to be seen if they can do that request that the board has asked. But if it comes down to the board having to make a decision, yeah, go in every 5 years on those trees, you know, instead of every 30, and they accept that, then I think we'll have some progress.
Right. Well, one of the things
We're
that I
gonna,
look-
Carolyn, we're gonna
is
move on
we
to.
have
you've had-
arborists
You've had 3
involved.
minutes, Carolyn. Please.
I know
finish.
that she also asked about the committee structure, and
I know.
we did absolutely provide the information, which was very helpful, Carolyn, over to the Public Works Agency. We did give that to them. And so we haven't heard back yet, but yes, your information is getting where it needs to go.
Yeah, in 2018, they did our sidewalks in front of my house. I've been saying
Okay,
that.
Carolyn, we're moving on to Lynn has her hand up.
Okay.
Lynn, do you want to speak? You have to take yourself off of mute.
There she goes.
Hi, Lynn Rollo again. Supervisor Parks, I just want to thank you for all your help with this. It seems like we were going to have to tie ourselves to trees to keep them up.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you put the money forward to try and save these. So
Yes,
that's it.
you know, my preference would be that they'd hurry up and get those standards revised, and I don't have to put up that money, but that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
We'll have that ability unless there's some kind of thing that happens where, you know, the county council says you can't use your budget for it. I think that it will be okay.
Okay, well, thank you again.
Mhm.
Thank you, Lynn, for your comments. Any other comments for Supervisor Parks before we move on to advisory matters? Item 10.
I don't see anything.
Okay, we're going to move on. We've got Marcus Cannon online for the Golden Eagle Landscaping, and per what Supervisor Parks recommended, he's come back with a drought tolerant plant recommendation.
Hi, folks. I sent it over to the folks over at the county. So what we decided, or what some of the options were for moving toward more drought tolerant material. I think on the first proposals for Golden Eagle, we were using things like myoporum, and I think the board had some issues with the myoporum. It's a moderate plant requiring, well, moderate water-wise. It's not drought tolerant. Can be, but not, and it's not used in those ways. We also had new gold lantana, daylilies, variegated pittosporum, and abelia. So the changes that we decided that I wanted to present to you guys were basically the myoporum, changing that out for a rosemary prostrata. Rosemary is a drought tolerant plant material. It's also not on the fire department's list of fire or hazardous plants. New Gold lantana can actually, if you know, once it's planted, you can kind of train it to be drought tolerant. It has color. So again, one of the things that we're looking for on the streetscape is a pop. So it's a yellow, kept low, and at the bottom, it will require the same amount of water as a rosemary for the most part. So it can be a drought tolerant plant material based on the amount of water that you give it. Daylilies is a drought tolerant plant material. It's also deciduous depending on how cold it gets. So again, it can qualify as a drought tolerant plant. With the variegated pittosporums that we were looking at planting, I think it was on Lindero and Golden Eagle. We could change that out. The recommendation was using a Cistus purpurea or rock rose. Again, it's a drought tolerant plant. And then the last is Abelia, which you see throughout the community. A lot of them actually on Hawthorne, even though we're not doing it, but that's, I think if you traveled around Hawthorne and near Canaan, you'll see a lot of them on the eastern slope toward the corner. So with the Abelia, just changing that to maybe to a Rhamnus californica, which is it's a native, but it works well in a setting, in this type of setting. It gets about the same size, a little slower growing because it is a native, but again, needs a lot less water. So those changes, and most of the plantings at the bottom of the slope. So you would, they just would not leave, it would probably cut your water usage, at least in these areas, drastically once the plants are established.
So Marcus, is there a cost difference?
No, there is not. It's
Oh,
just a
good.
change in plant material.
So Seema, what do you recommend? You were leading this.
So yeah, my question was, the lantana will give us some color. I'm not familiar with all the other plants. Do any of them have a little, I know rosemary doesn't, but do the other ones have any bit of color pop in any of them?
Well, you'll get a blue flower on the rosemary. So it's a kind of a light blue flower in spring. You will get the cistus gets flowers. It's a pinkish flower. New Gold, the lantana, obviously you've seen that planted on Lindero. If you've driven up Lindero past going northeast. And the Rhamnus, not really. This isn't going to give you very much, but the daylilies, obviously you're going to get that. You'll get that spring, summer, and they come in different colors: sunburst yellow, some purples.
Okay.
So you will.
Seema, do you have a recommendation? There were several different approaches, different versions of what we were going to do. Do you have a recommendation on what you're suggesting?
Well, yeah, and I think then Marcus's latest one because of the drought tolerant plants. Definitely, it definitely want us to reduce our water. So yeah, I think if Marcus and Enhanced Landscaping is proposing that, and it will still do what we need to do is prevent that dirt from sliding, you know, on the lower part of that slope on Golden Eagle. It'll hold on to that and it'll give us reduced water. I agree with it then.
So there were like several different locations though, and
Yeah, would
different
you like,
price lists.
I have the original proposal, and if there's
I
no
was just
cost
wondering what
difference-
Seema's recommending. Are you recommending that we do all of them? Or are you recommending we do some of them?
Do you want me to pull up that the proposals?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't recall.
I have a
exactly.
question.
That's fine.
Question. The lantana that you're mentioning, is this the same lantana that monarchs like?
It is. Well, I do know they love the purples. I see them around the purples a lot more, but the yellow certainly would have to get back to you. But I would imagine they would be attracted to most of the lantana.
Because it would be wonderful if we could actually work with our open space butterflies coming in and have something for them to eat if we could give them more food.
Great idea, Janice. So Seema, do you want to go through these and
let's
make
go.
a proposal
Well,
to our map?
Well, Chuck is on, right? Chuck, I just
Right.
want to know if we have the budget for that right now.
If I could comment too, just that a couple of things. One is enhanced landscape, you might want to look at Growing Works Nursery over there on Lewis Road near the university. Growing Works. It's a nonprofit nursery, provides jobs and job training for people with mental illness. But they have the most drought tolerant plants and natives of the Santa Monica Mountains than any other nursery. So they're good at being able to give you information on things like, does it work for monarch butterflies? I know I see, not for monarchs, but I do see, for example, bougainvilleas, both in yellow and red, and they're very drought tolerant and maybe even more so than lantanas. But what I wanted to comment on mostly though is that when Public Works is talking about changing the plant palette in Oak Park, they're talking about hiring a landscape architect type that's going to come in and give you the suggestions of all the plants that would work best, and also in a way that is, looks at the beauty of it and all of that. So that's what they're thinking about. And I know enhanced landscape is great at doing the maintenance and doing plant replacement, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that that is what Public Works is looking at doing.
So Linda, are you suggesting maybe we wait then before we go ahead with these proposals? Wait for public.
I think it would be great to, since they want to hire a landscape architect to do this, to change it out, this might be a good opportunity to do that. And to do it soon too, right? Because I know it's a good time to be planting now.
Okay, so what do we need to do then to wait for when will the landscape architect be coming?
They want, again, my discussion with the Public Works Director, he wants to get going on that. He finds that to be one of the most important things. And even looking at Hawthorne and all of that, you need to start, you need to change out. And so that's what I think what we were talking about earlier too, you need a plan, and that's how you get a plan.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Can we have them also look at Golden Eagle then after Hawthorne as one of the priorities? Okay. Well, then I suggest then if we can wait then, if there's,
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, there's no rush. I mean, this is an improvement. It's not a problem. We're just trying to improve this. And so if we're going to do a universal solution for Oak Park or looking at overall, I'd like to wait then.
I think they would probably. I mean, that's a great idea, because I think what they would do is they would just offer the appropriate type of plant material and the continuity within the community to, you'll just see some consistency in the planting for the different streets and the different corridors. So
do we need a motion on this, Supervisor Parks?
Well, can I get Chuck's opinion since Chuck is on here?
Yes, I'm available for questions.
So Chuck, you mean you were both out there looking at Golden Eagle and all that? Do you feel it's no urgency there that we could wait for this landscape architect?
The landscape architect issue hasn't filtered down to me yet. So those discussions with the Public Works Director, I'm not aware of those yet, but we did in fact budget money for a landscape architect. So that is certainly something that we can do if your council so directs us.
Supervisor Parks, do we need a motion on this?
I think it's a good idea, and I would just say I like the idea of Public Works working on enhancing your plant palette. It's a positive thing, instead of just having to work with sidewalks.
Seema, do you want to make a motion on that?
Yeah, I make a motion that we postpone making a decision on these proposals till we have a landscape architect feedback or a
Do I have
report.
a second? I'll second it.
Jane, second.
Denise, do you want to take a roll call
I
vote?
sure will. Alon Glickstein?
Nay, I don't think we should include, I think the motion should just be very specific to item A. It's just saying, no, we don't want that. So I just don't agree with the wording, but so no.
And what do you think about using actually the word like seek a landscape architect? So that is something that you want to see?
I think I don't have a problem with that, but it's just, I just feel like it needs to be a separate motion, and it's not an agenda item, so I'm not sure that's what we should be voting on. I just kind of see that we have an agenda to do a project. It's either yes or no, but you know, other people can vote, it's fine. I'd just rather not vote on this one.
Okay,
So I'm sorry, Alon, was that
Okay, I'll just say,
abstain or?
no, I'll
we
just,
have a
I'll just-
motion and a second, so Alon's not voting.
I'll
So
just
you're,
have
it's an abstain. Okay, okay. I just wanted to be clear. Okay, so Alon is abstained. Seema Chandra,
Yes.
JL Diaz.
So just for clarification, so the motion is to seek a landscape architect, right? That's what it is.
Or to wait for the landscape architect report.
Okay, yeah, I guess yes.
So JL Diaz, yes. Janice Smets.
Yes, I just ask one more thing. I don't know if you have to put it in the motion or not, but I would like some sort of a coordination with our open space as well to see if we, so we keep that continuity of what we're doing in the open space as well. And see if there's anything we can do in this, on this level to help. I'd like to add that or just put that in the basket, so to speak.
Do you want to amend the motion?
I would think that the individual would take a look at the surroundings, you know, as they decide on drought tolerant native plants.
Okay, I'll say yes.
Without an amendment? Okay. And then Chair Nye.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think, Alon, you needed to go at 8:15. It's 8:16. Are you able to stay or do you need to leave?
Oh, all right, yes, I do. Thank you for catching that. I appreciate that. Do apologize for having to leave early, everybody, but enjoy the rest of the meeting and have a good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
All right, we're going to move on to 10B, which is enhanced landscape retaining wall. That's Chuck Alvarez.
Yes, I'm going to ask your council not to vote on this particular proposal. It went to my associate Valerie Lopez, who handles day-to-day matters for the CSA. I don't usually look at these until they're ready for approval. But I did look at it when I saw it on the agenda. And under exclusions, it says work is non-prevailing wage. And my concern is that we have to pay prevailing wage. So we're gonna, I'll talk with Marcus later about this. We may have to talk to GSA to see if they have a qualified contractor who can do this work. I'm available though to answer any questions about this particular block wall and why we're repairing it.
Yes, I wasn't familiar with this. What happened? What was why was it damaged there?
I don't know that you can tell by looking at it why it was damaged. The retaining wall is a functional feature of the landscaping. It's a small retaining wall, keeps soil from sloughing off the slope. It's decorative, it's original to the tract, and it's within the easement area for the landscaping. So it falls under our purview to maintain. Your MAC could direct me to remove that feature if that's something you don't want us pay maintenance on. Otherwise, we will repair it.
I think it looks like a repairable wall. Just the cap looked like it was damaged.
And did we have an estimate on that? I don't know if I saw that.
The estimate was $1,300, but again, that did not reflect prevailing wage.
Prevailing wage.
With prevailing wage, it'd be higher.
Okay.
So you're asking us to wait till the next meeting to talk about it?
This, because of the dollar amount, it doesn't require MAC approval. It's
Okay.
just, it's a landscape element and I wanted the MAC aware and to have a
Thank
say
you.
on it. So if you decide you want it repaired, we can go ahead and repair it without bringing this back.
I would
The motion-
recommend that. Yeah.
Actually, I would recommend that as well. So my motion is to repair it.
I'll second that. Denise, do you want to do a,
Yes.
you said not to vote on it though, Chuck, because we're waiting for,
Yeah, so.
We'll have to
Prevailing wage.
approve it.
But
what
it
was-
doesn't matter what the cost is, right? It's below 10,000. It's not gonna
Correct.
increase twice, thrice, right?
yeah,
So we're voting on repairing it. We're not voting on that particular
correct.
You're
uh,
You're
proposal.
voting on, so I have a, I have a chat, a comment that was sent. Are you receiving other areas in the community for, because I guess there's another wall at Rockfield and Hawthorne.
I believe that the person who brought this matter to our attention wanted us to look at all of the small retaining walls
Okay,
in CSA 4.
okay. So is that what you're gonna be bringing back later?
No,
No, okay.
no, we deal with these as they come up. Otherwise, we have no control over the cost.
So are you asking us to vote on this or not vote on this, Chuck?
You don't have to vote. You don't have to take any action.
Okay,
You've given me
all right.
direction to go
Okay.
ahead and proceed with the repair,
Great.
Okay.
paying prevailing
you.
wage.
And so if there
Thank
is
you.
another retaining wall, should they just go through, like
We'll
that-
bring
that
them,
is-
we'll bring them to you as they come up.
as they come? Okay, okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Chuck. We're going to move on to 10C and 10E. Supervisor Parks, we moved those together probably before you got on, just to make it convenient for you to speak about both without an interruption. So
Okay.
the redistricting process and the letters to RSRPD.
Okay. 10C redistricting process. I've asked Venice to put up some maps. So and the map will be tell a lot more than what I can describe. So we have the Board of Supervisors has every 10 years, right after the census, has to do redistricting of just what we represent. And we've been getting a lot of suggestions, and there's this really nice software that you can go and play with existing maps and make some changes to them, or actually do your own. But it's the way to get to it is redistricting@ventura.org. And so why I bring this to your attention, last meeting, I thought, you don't have to worry. Oak Park's, it's one good thing is no one's talking about splitting Oak Park. But there have been talks about, splitting Moore Park, splitting Thousand Oaks, splitting Camarillo. So there is definitely, everything's kind of in play, but so far, none of the recommendations have talked about splitting Oak Park. The only thing is they put Oak Park in a different district than the district you're in now, which is the district with Thousand Oaks. We'll call it District 2 because that's what it is right now. So for example, let's see, this map here. The goal that our board has decided is we have to meet the Fair Voting Act, which means if there's an ability to have another district that is a majority of a minority, in this case, it would be Latinx, we should do it. Otherwise, it could be said that we're actually preventing that, and we don't want to end up preventing the ability of another majority minority district, is what they call it. So that becomes the goal. And we already have one majority minority district, right? That's out in the green colored, the teal. I don't know what that color is. That's the Oxnard area, and that is a majority of a minority. And here the blue creates another one. And someone had submitted this, and so we started looking at this as a board because it seemed to do less damage to others, like it keeps Moore Park whole. And actually, you can zoom in. You want to do some zooming in just to really let them see where it says Oak Park and maybe even Canaan. And so as you can see, Oak Park remains in the
Pink.
District Pink.
District Pink.
There's North Ranch, there's Oak Park, still got Amundsen Ranch there and all. And so this one I lean towards because it doesn't have any major impacts to Oak Park. It doesn't split Moore Park. I think splitting a little city makes it difficult. And what it does is it swings it out to the west, if you want to go that way, and actually puts a little bit more Camarillo in it, because it turns out the district that had Camarillo is growing the fastest. And so to even the populations, which is one of the other goals we need to do, we have to take some of Camarillo. And since I'm the slowest growing district in Camarillo district with Supervisor Long is the fastest growing, that's why I have to kind of bleed over into her district. So this is kind of a positive one that I can see that doesn't do too much major damage. It does have the unfortunate situation of kind of splitting Camarillo, I think in 3, where now it's not split at all, right? So that here, see Leisure Village all of a sudden is in pink, and that's District 2. And then some other Camarillo's blue and a little bit more. So that's a problem.
That's
but
crazy.
It's like whose ox is going to be gored. So that's one example. Can we see another example? This is one that was, I believe, brought in by the Latinx attorneys, and they've been getting people to support it, in emails and all. And if you could zoom in a little bit more and find Oak Park.
Right
you
there.
can see, they split off North Ranch. You see, can you kind of put the cursor where it says North Ranch? Yeah, so there's North Ranch. You see where Oak Park is. And then that would put you in with Simi Valley. If you want to back out a little bit, zoom out, you'll see that that's the Simi Valley one. So this is an example of another one, and there actually have been a few. That's why I'm thinking, well, you guys may have a preference as to which district you want to be in. If Thousand Oaks, if Oak Park ends up getting proposed to go with the other supervisor district with Simi Valley. And I know the city of Thousand Oaks, for example, would not like this one because it splits Thousand Oaks in 2. What it does do, though, why are they going through all this? If you go to the west, Venice, what it does is it puts the entire city of Camarillo and the city of most of Thousand Oaks all in one district. So it's a way of not splitting up Camarillo, I guess, is the goal there. But there are a lot of different renditions of this. So with that, I wanted to, first of all, inform you that, Oak Park is in play to some extent, not to be split, but rather which district it is in. The community of Santa Rosa Valley has written a letter with the Santa Rosa Valley MAC to the county saying why they want to stay with the same district as Thousand Oaks. And they had their list and we helped them craft that. If the Oak Park MAC has a desire of also being in the same district with Thousand Oaks, I've put together some bullet points, and here are some of them that I put together. The MAC oversees CSA 4 that contracts for VIP service with the police department, Thousand Oaks Police Department. You guys have a contractual relationship for VIP services, volunteer and policing. Simi Valley has a different police force than Oak Park. Oak Park is the sheriff's department. Simi Valley is the city police department. So it's kind of, you definitely, I think, get benefit sharing the same sheriff's department with the city that you're connected to. Oak Park adjoins and is contiguous to Thousand Oaks, and that's actually a major part of redistricting, is to keep the districts, keep communities of interest contiguous. So Oak Park adjoins the city of Thousand Oaks. Oak Park and Thousand Oaks have the same water and sewer providers in some cases, right? You have, and also Oak Park is in the Conejo Valley with Thousand Oaks, and the two communities share a common border. And Simi District is topographically and geographically distant with no shared roads and about a half-hour drive. And the Oak Park shares the open space and tree preservation values of Thousand Oaks, and both communities have students in each other's schools that participate in sports in each other's parks. So those are just some examples if you wanted to make that case. Certainly up to you and your decision. I don't, love you all, but I don't really have any stake one way or the other. The Board of Supervisors will discuss the draft maps further on November 9th and November 16th. But we're going to approve these in the beginning of December, if not sooner. So it's happening really fast. So again,
how many options are there, Supervisor Parks? Are there 4 maps, 2 maps?
Okay, so what we did at the Board of Supervisors is we were given 4 maps by our consultant. We threw out 2 that didn't achieve the majority minority districts, and that left 2. One was something that was one was a lot easier on our area and one was very different in many respects. So we also added that first one that I just showed you that keeps Thousand Oaks whole, keeps Oak Park together. And you want to put that back up on the screen. So we kept that, we put that one into the mix. We've also been receiving others that have asked us to consider. So this, is that the first one? Yeah, so it keeps Oak Park and Thousand Oaks. And then that one just seems to me like the least major change, at least for the East County here. It does impact Camarillo, but it helps in this East County. So there was also one submitted by Cause, an organization that also looks to assist Latino rights. And theirs was also similar to that first map that I found to be, a major change. So
This one.
really, even the ones that I don't think are major changes, like this one is, or I guess the other, this one, which I don't think is a huge change, is still a pretty big change, in the sense that if you look at the whole county, it does create a district, if you look at that blue, that is a minority, a majority of minority. So it essentially, where is that minority? Where did that come from? It came from Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru, all of that area. And so that gets pulled out of, Camarillo, because I think part of the concern was how can Camarillo, which is a, pretty middle to upper income city, how is that related to Piru, and how is that related to Santa Paula and Fillmore, which has a predominant Latino and more blue collar workers. So that was their desire, is to take Camarillo out of that and give, the primary area, make that one that is a majority minority. So we're a lot of tinkering going on, and so it's, what is the best outcome we can achieve? And so this is probably something close. I saw another one today that was submitted that also, considered keeping the East County pretty whole, not splitting up Moore Park. Another one had, for example, at the bottom, that teal kind of color going all the way over and taking up, more towards Dos Vientos, taking Dos Vientos out of Thousand Oaks. So there's a lot of different changes that are being proposed. So I just want to give you that heads up and see if you do want to take a position one way or the other.
I have a couple of questions, Supervisor Parks. I see that Point Magoo State Park is being mentioned. Does that include the Point Magoo base as well?
It depends which map. In this particular map, see right now,
There's a naval base.
3 or 4 supervisors have the naval base, which is kind of nice. We all want to protect it and do what we can to keep it and all of that. But for example, this one takes the naval base out. But the Magoo State Park is still in, I see the Santa Monica Mountains as a community of interest. I would like to keep that all together and not split it up.
So Magoo and Port Hueneme would be together in one district.
Not,
Well-
that's a potential that not in this one.
So they are getting split in this one.
This one, it's Port
Oh,
Hueneme
this,
here.
well, yes, yeah, no, yeah, keeping Magoo and Port Hueneme together is one of our goals too. It's just a matter of priorities, but this is, yeah, this keeps the base with Port Hueneme, which makes a lot of sense.
Okay, and how does this affect our parks and the care of our parks?
I don't think it has much impact. It's what does the Board of Supervisors do? Because all of this just tells you who your supervisor is going to be. You still have the same services, same water services, same department that does the roads, same department that does, you know, I mean, all of your services are still coming from the same places. It's just who do you elect? And you know, who's out there representing you. That's the only thing that changes.
Well, but Supervisor, the CME area, do they have any unincorporated area? That supervisor may not have any other unincorporated, and Oak Park being unincorporated, you know, your current district has a few unincorporated areas. So I think
CME has Homeacres and Santa Susana Knolls, among others, but I think those are probably the two predominant ones, Homeacres and the Santa Susana Knolls.
and also when you were saying like Camarillo about the economic levels, I think Oak Park's, you know, level is of a higher economic level than CME. So I think we're more aligned with North Ranch and Thousand Oaks for that too.
Yeah. You guys also have one of the, I think, the highest educated populations in the county, people with college degrees.
Yep. I would like to have a letter written just like your other MAC did to the supervisors. I don't know if everybody else agrees.
And what's your proposal to stay with Thousand Oaks, right?
Yeah, to
Okay.
stay with Thousand Oaks.
You want to vote on that?
I think we made it an action item, didn't we?
Yes, it is.
Do we need to vote on it or do we just need to discuss it?
Will someone be writing it, or do you want our office to, or us to
If
draft?
you have
it?
other points that you would like to raise, I think similar economics status, I think was one that I heard, so we could add that to it.
Yep.
Yeah, let me, give me 1 second. I'll pull up the points that Supervisor Parks brought up. And then you can add to them.
Does the CME district currently have any MACs in their unincorporated area?
Any what?
Are there any MACs over in the CME?
No.
Okay, so I think that's another good point, is that like currently under your district, you have like 4 MACs you're dealing with?
Yeah. It's good. I think supervisors should have a chance to have a MAC, so I don't know, but.
Well, I feel like your experience with dealing with MACs, you know, the supervisor of this district is more familiar dealing with MACs.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
Okay, we'll add that, the MAC point and the economic point.
Economic similarity.
To Thousand Oaks and North Ranch.
Sorry, I'm a terrible typist.
That's why we have spell check.
Yes. And then I'm sorry, the second one was SEMA.
What was I saying?
MAC, having a
MAC experience.
Yes.
Supervisor familiar.
Yes, MAC familiarity for the supervisor of District 2.
Here it
with Max.
All these top ones are the ones Supervisor Parks mentioned already.
And we all agree with that. Those are good points.
Yep. So do we need to vote then or not, or just?
Oh, yes, definitely. If you want to send a letter, we can draft this up for you and then have the MAC chair sign it if you approve, and we'll get it over to the board.
So the motion is to stay with Thousand Oaks and or status quo and then send a letter, right?
Yeah, I don't think the status quo is an option because we need to keep
Oh,
that
sorry.
majority minority.
But I think
Oh,
the
okay, okay.
time frame is pretty critical because we're not meeting again until January. So we have to make a decision now and approve this letter to be sent right away.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion then?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we request that Oak Park stay with Thousand Oaks in the districting and that we send a letter to the Board of Supervisors stating these facts, stating these points right here.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Denise, do you want to take a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Seema Chandra,
Yes.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved. I'll draft it up, send it out to the MAC, and then once it's signed, we'll get it to the Board of Supervisors.
And only the chair has to sign it, right? Is it?
Yes.
Okay, so Jane will sign that. Okay.
Okay. Supervisor Parks, do you want to move on to 10E, which is a letter, another letter to the RSRPD?
Yeah, that's right. If you would like to, I know that the general manager of the Rancho Simi Rec and Park District, would be willing to, actually hold off on cutting down the tree, if there was revisions in the standards that reduce the price. So I think it all comes down to the price. So I know the Public Works Agency will be getting back with a better estimate. And I think it was $29,000 or something like that. And I don't think that, and JL may know more, but I don't think that Rancho Simi is willing to pay that much. So hopefully the estimate will be lower, but this also gives you an opportunity to take an official stand if you want to. And I think that's what we heard, and that's why it's on the agenda.
JL, what are your thoughts?
Yes, we need to stay. So I have some presentation on this. If I can get like a few minutes on this, because I made a PowerPoint presentation.
You can share.
Thank you.
Carolyn, we'll get to it after the board has a chance to talk first.
All right.
I see your hand.
So this is as far as the
We're not seeing
this
it
item.
yet, JL. JL, we're not seeing it.
Okay, hold on.
There we go.
You can see it? Okay, so this is called tree number 1 for the agenda from the Oak Park, Oak Park committee for the parks. And so this is the tree. I just want to make sure that this is noted in the meeting minutes here. And this is another set of pictures for this. So as you can see, it's very healthy. This notation here says that this is healthy. This is healthy. Okay. Fair condition due to competition. So it's a fair condition. It's not sick or whatsoever. It's just like encroaching on the sidewalk. Okay. And the cost for that, if they're gonna cut it, the cost is $12,200. If it is going to be saved to protect the tree, the cost here is $39,000 here. Okay, so I'm just gonna submit that to Vanessa so that this is incorporated in the minutes. But my motion is to save this tree.
Thank you. And I really appreciate that you have this information, because talking with our Public Works Director, he was indicating 29,000, not 39,000. But this really shows it would be 39,000. So that is something they need to take a better, closer look at.
JL, just make sure you email that to me.
Yes.
Thank you.
So JL, do you have a motion that the MAC write a letter to RSRPD?
Yes, so the motion is to write a letter to RSRPD not to cut the tree and wait for a better estimate on that 39,000 number to save the tree.
And are we also waiting for new standards, Supervisor Parks?
So you kind of heard that earlier, is that Public Works is going to be taking some time on this. to come back to the board with potential new standards specifically to save mature trees in those instances. And the idea of holding off for that period of time is not something that they can support. So they call it constructive notice. They've been put on notice by someone who complained or something about it. And if they don't do something about it, they say that they're liable. I had suggested, block off the sidewalk like in a construction project. Oh, so you want them to go in the street? No, no, not to go in the street. But, that's my thought is, be nice if the first thought was, how do we, how can we do this? How can we save the tree? But they're looking at how do we get rid of the liability?
So, but they've already voted 5-2, did you say, JL?
Yeah, for the Oak Park Committee voted 5-2.
So, but Supervisor Parks, you still think writing a letter is the right thing to do? To balance that out?
It could be a very polite letter, just letting them know that this is something that's really important to MAC, saving mature trees, and you're disappointed in the decision and just wanted to let them know. And in the future, if you can have more consideration of the trees or, whatever. You have that.
Can your office help us draft a letter, or JL, do you want to draft a letter? How do we want to go forward?
Yeah, we can draft the letter. I just like to let you know that the Oak Park Committee's vote was advisory. So it's not really effective until, the Simi Valley RSRPD will decide on it. Their board is the ultimate decision maker.
Oh, so they haven't voted on it yet. Well, then you do have that opportunity to write to the board and tell them what you'd prefer.
Right.
So Carolyn, I see your hand. We're still discussing it on the board. I will get your information in just a minute. Please let the board continue to discuss it first. Dale, any other comments that you want to bring up?
No, that's it. I think we should write the letter and tell the board that we want to save the tree.
Seema, any comments before we?
So what are we proposing then, to save the tree and wait until again we get the new standards from the county?
No, there's a new cost associated with this that they're trying to figure
Waiting
out.
for, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We should wait then, yeah.
Mhm.
Janice, comments?
No, I think a letter is the appropriate way to address this. I totally agree with Supervisor Parks.
Okay, Carolyn, you've got 3 minutes. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi. I spent a considerable amount of time talking with Wayne at RSRPD. And if you see on one of JL's pictures here, there is land to the side of the tree that is relatively flat, if you look at it. And the Rancho Simi is willing to donate that land for a ramp, a serpentine in this space here. I don't know if my cursor will show you, but in the space here in the dirt, they are willing to serpentine this sidewalk, allow them to go onto their own ranch, property, Rancho Simi property, Mayboyer Park, to serpentine it around the tree. That's an alternative that was never discussed, never brought up. And it's possible to do it relatively reasonably, maybe $10,000, $12,000. And they have serpentine sidewalks around the pine trees on Agora Road, again, as I'm telling you. So, and besides, there is no trip hazard, as you can see, in the right of walkway there for the public to walk. And it's only at a very slight angle as far as the ADA compliance is. So their liability is not extreme, in my opinion. But I think the county needs to look at communicating with Rancho Simi to allow the sidewalk to go onto their land there that's opposite the tree on park land. Okay, and that's a viable alternative for a flat, compliant sidewalk. And Wayne said they are willing to do that. So it needs to be explored.
Thank you.
Now, No, that was never explained during the
I
meeting.
know, I never had a chance. I never talked at the Oak Park meeting, and I wasn't sure if this tree was going to be discussed. I thought it was only the trees in the lagoon area that were lost because of the fire. So
Mhm.
I've talked to Wayne several times about this tree. He's very, very aware of it. In fact, I called him after the meeting just to double check that, make sure that this tree does not get somehow, lost in the shuffle when we're negotiating with the Ventura County Public Works, and that the viable, yes, we want to have it be, compliant, but, the fact that they will allow Ventura County to go onto their land and ramp that's, or not ramp, I'm talking about serpentining in a semicircular shape around the tree. So it's
Okay,
flat.
Carolyn, your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
We're gonna, JL has a
Um,
proposal on the table. So do we
Also,
have a second?
I also have a comment submitted, a written comment submitted on this item, Jane.
Would you read that then?
Yes, I will. A statement for tonight's Oak Park MAC meeting, agenda item 10E RSR PD tree removal from Canaan Road and Conifer Street. I have read the arborist report by Michael Anaba dated April 21st, 2021, which recommends removal of the referenced tree per published county standards. I understand that the tree is on RSR PD property and any affected sidewalk or curb impact is on Ventura County property. On October 28, 2021, the Ventura County Board of Supervisors voted 5-0 to approve Supervisor Park's request to direct the Public Works Agency to review and revise the county's sidewalk repair standards to allow for alternative cost-efficient repair methods that also meet sidewalk safety standards that don't increase liability in order to preserve mature trees. Since we are awaiting this review and revision, I hope the MAC will recommend that RSRPD take a wait and see approach as the MAC recommended to Ventura County with the hawthorn trees. I have heard RSRPD management may also agree with this approach. Thank you, Jay Capitz, Oak Park resident, former MAC member.
Thank you very much. So JL, anything else you want to bring up, or Supervisor Parks? I think we have a motion on the table.
I have a motion. I don't know if there's a second yet.
Is there a second?
Do you want to consider in your letter talking about the meandering pathway that you could do, the serpentine as?
I will mention that.
Okay, we'll add that to the letter.
So
Are we writing the
Supervisor
letter or is
Parks-
JL writing the letter?
That's a good
JL.
question.
I
JL is
can
writing the letter.
write it. I need help, Carolyn. So we'll work on it together.
Okay,
And I-
so I think it's pretty important that we have it done in a timely manner. We're not meeting again. So JL, can you commit to getting that done in the next week or so?
Yes.
They meet on November 4th in Oak Park. Rancho Simi meets next week in Oak Park.
We
So it
get
should,
that letter before that.
yes.
You'll have to
We're
tie a
we're
big
gonna get
yellow
it done
ribbon
in a week, Caroline,
Yes.
so we'll take care of it. Okay, so Denise, do you want to
Well, I
take roll
have,
call on the vote?
I still don't have a second.
I'll second it.
Jane will second. Okay, then I'll do the roll call. Seema Chandra,
Yes.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes.
Chair Nye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Final item.
We have one more item, the MAC protocols. Janice?
Yes, this is regarding the letter back in July.
Do you want to stop your screen share, JL?
Yes.
Took us
Oh
a
my
while to
gosh.
get there.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the July letter, and I think that the main thrust of the letter was to see if we could revisit the policy that we have in place right now of Public Works only bringing beyond $10,000 any changes to our trees or landscape. And I got very nervous when we almost lost a heritage tree if we didn't do further investigation to save it. And it may probably have not cost $10,000 to cut that tree down. So my concern is that that $10,000 is a pretty high number unless we could possibly ask Public Works to coordinate with us if we have we have a tree that possibly needs to be cut down, it'll be less than 10,000 to cut it down. Is there time to bundle it with this another work so that we see something beyond $10,000? If it's an emergency where he has to have it cut down right away, can he bring it to the board before cutting it down, even though it's under 10,000? Is there a different kind of protocol that we can put in place with Public Works so that we're not having trees cut down $10,000 or less that we never get to see or review?
So is that a discussion item or are you making a motion to change?
I'd like to
our
discuss a little
10,000?
bit of how you felt about it. Chuck is hopefully still with us. Where if he feels like we could work something out so that he knows, of course, our main concern is trees. And we don't want a tree cut down because it's less than $10,000. We want to still see it. So we don't also want him to have to go out and get an arborist every time for something under $10,000. That's very costly. I understand that. So what can we come up with where we're all kind of happy about the results? So I'm open for discussion.
Were you referring that to me?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to point out to the council that we had several items on the agenda tonight involving landscaping that was less than $10,000. Anytime we get a proposal to remove trees, we coordinate that with the supervisor's office and their staff is notified well before we approve any work orders. So I'm really struggling to find out what your concern is because staff has been pretty transparent about this process.
I think it came from, I was hearing, and maybe I misunderstood, but I was hearing that if it's under $10,000, it does not have to be brought to MAC for discussion. That's what I heard. And that's
My understanding.
And then I heard it was MAC who chose that dollar level.
So I think that was for, sorry, Chuck, but I think that was for general expenses, right? And I think the proposal, if you want to solidify this, is that if we talk about cutting trees, whether it's $1, 10,000, 20,000, we need to discuss that in the MAC. I think that's what Janice wants to happen.
Yeah, I like that protocol change and that cutting down trees has no dollar limit on it.
Yeah.
But I also know that I understand Chuck's position that if I have to go get an arborist every time under $10,000 to decide whether that tree's going to be cut down. So I thought, well, okay, is it something that needs immediate attention or is it something he can just put in a bucket list where he gets enough trees that it's going to be on that and then it's over 10,000 and we get to look at it.
Can we hear from Chuck? I think he was saying that. Go ahead.
There are instances where trees have to come down. Dead trees, dying trees. We really can't take the time to come to the MAC every time for your permission to remove a tree.
Yes, you can.
But we
Caroline,
do.
please mute yourself. Thank you.
But as I previously said, we do coordinate with the supervisor's office and we inform them.
Mhm.
And they have sufficient time to answer, ask any questions they want. Staff is very responsive. Any decision that this council made is an advisory decision and Public Works can overrule that. If you tell us not to remove a dead tree, that puts us in conflict with our obligation to the County Board of Supervisors that we're not going to allow hazardous conditions to be in place. So, think about this and where you want us to go. Because like I said, we've been pretty transparent about what we're going to do. I don't feel committed by the dollar amount if it's less than $10,000. And I think the council should look at it. We bring it to the council.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
No, I acknowledge Charles' effort. Sorry, but I'd just like to to point out, in the last meeting with the RSRPD for the Oak Park Committee, there was a new protocol that was set in place. Any tree that will be cut will be subjected to review of the committee, and there were a lot of dead trees that we were discussed, like about 8 or 9, and majority of everybody's decision was to take out dead trees. And I think Charles, if something like this happen, if you get that, if you let us know about these dead trees, we'll obviously consider the ramifications of not cutting this, because if they're dead trees, they're dead, right? You just have to cut it out.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would
but-
agree.
Yeah, but does he have to wait for a MAC meeting? Because, some months we don't have a MAC meeting and a dead tree shouldn't be up there for 2 months, perhaps. But, so I don't agree with changing the $10,000 amount at all. We've discussed it before. 10,000 is not a lot these days. And I think Chuck has been very good about letting us know about any, other than dead trees, about any other tree issues. He's been very transparent. And so I agree with Chuck that I don't see any need for a change.
So it's not the 10,000 that is the issue here. It's about cutting trees, right? So if, for example, the tree is healthy and the cost is 8,000, we should not be cutting that.
He's not, he's telling us.
Oh, right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not the amount that is considered here.
Well,
It's the
but-
fact that we are trying to vet whether these trees, which are very dear to everyone here in Oak Park, needs to be saved or not. So we just have to also inform everyone in the community by these meetings that these trees need to be cut. And probably the problem is not the tree cutting, but the frequency of the meeting of the MAC, right? So maybe we might consider more frequent meeting to serve the community. But if that's not the case, then as far as protocol is concerned, we should vet all the trees that are being cut, and we have to and this vetting is not just like for us to approve. It's actually to inform the community about this.
Yeah. Well, JL, first
Okay,
of all, Janice.
just a minute.
Janice
Seema?
did bring up 10,000. She kept
Seema?
mentioning 10,000. So
Seema,
she
can you
mentioned-
wait a minute? I wanted to hear from Supervisor Parks, seeing that the Public Works goes through your office first. What do you recommend?
Well, we put things on your agenda if we think that there are issues. And I think so far we've done pretty good.
So do we have a motion on the floor? Janice, do you have a motion?
Okay, go ahead, Janice.
You're muted. You're muted, Janice. Janice, okay, you're still.
Okay, sorry. I'd like to make a motion that Public Works comes to us with pictures of the proposed trees that he's cutting down, and we don't necessarily need to vote on it if it's under $10,000. I would just like a picture of that tree, and that he's saying, we're going to cut this tree down, take a picture of it, let us see the picture. We don't necessarily have to vote on it since it's not $10,000, but I would like to see a picture of the tree.
Okay, again, you're bringing up the $10,000.
It's not a factor whether it's 10,000, 8,000, or 1,000.
JL is
We need.
not- yeah.
Yeah, we should not. The protocol is this: any tree that will be cut, whether they're healthy or unhealthy, or there's some issue with it for safety, security of the whatever. If there's risk associated with the tree, that needs to be brought up to us so that we can vet on it and we are
Janice,
informed.
this is Janice's motion. Do you want to amend it to what JL just said, or do you want to keep it the way it
Yes,
was?
I'll amend it to what JL is saying, because it's basically what I'm saying. Just doing it a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second JL.
Okay. Okay,
Well,
so we have,
Okay, so we're going with JL's motion then, and Janice is seconding. Okay,
okay.
all right.
Do you
then
want
I'll
to take a vote?
Yes. Seema Chandra,
No, I think we're adding too much bureaucracy here. Sorry.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes.
Jane Nye.
Yes.
Okay,
I hope you guys know it's going to take a lot more longer MAC meetings. We discuss every single dead tree.
It's passed. It's passed. Okay. I think that's it for advisory. We're on to written comments. Do we have, anybody have written comments in item number 11? Okay, we're going to move on to item number 12, future agenda items. I think I had one, Denise, we wanted to get the Pure Water Project presentation by Mike McNutt in January.
Right, I've already contacted him, so.
Does anybody else have any future agenda requests?
I have a request. I'd like to know, JL, can you bring the report where we are with our pond?
Sorry, Janice, there was there was a what do you call this? There was an update done submitted by Wayne last week, and so I think we're moving towards bidding that.
But is there a
So
schedule? I mean,
no, there's no schedule yet. There's no schedule yet. Yeah, I'll probably in January when this is more solid. We'll discuss that.
And that's a pond report? What's?
Yes, the pond.
Community Park.
Oak Park.
Yeah. So all the some environmental has been completed, and now that is nearing bidding stage.
Okay.
All right, so we're almost at the end. I just want to remind everybody that this is the last meeting of the year. We'll go dark for November and December, and we'll be back in January. And
Okay.
again, I'd like to thank Supervisor Parks for listening to us so well this year, Oak Park residents, and taking our concerns back to the Board of Supervisors. We really appreciate it. You've done a great job representing Oak Park residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Parks. Thank you.
Bye. Great.
Wait, I'm not
Bye.
done. I'm not done yet.
Oh,
Sorry.
Gail. I have some more things. I haven't adjourned yet. I also want to thank Denise for keeping our meetings organized and efficient. Thank you so much. And also, I do want to commend Chuck. I mean, he's done a great job servicing Oak Park and making sure we're all taken care of. So thank you so much, Chuck. I know it seems like we're difficult, but we appreciate working with you. And
Yes,
you
thank
deliver great, vital services to our Oak Park residents. And finally, I just want to mention that we have a lot of people that have started attending our meetings. And I think it's great that we're having a lot of people speak up and also being a strong voice for improvements and keeping Oak Park healthy and attractive and a great place to live. So I hope everybody has a happy and healthy rest of the year. And we'll see you in the end of January, January 27th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy
meeting-
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Can
Merry
we add
Meeting's
Christmas,
adjourned
sidewalks to
at
Thanksgiving,
the
happy
9:11.
agenda?
holidays.
Thank you.
Can we add
Bye-bye.
sidewalks to the agenda? We're gonna need to talk about it. Lynn, can we add sidewalks to the agenda?